But as I said, acceptance didn't mean Prabhupada approved. But he knew he was dealing with youngsters in Krishna consciousness. He always tried to encourage us. I told you when I first became his servant, one of the people there in Hyderabad, Prabhupada had them, I've mentioned before, Srila Goswami, and this one other sannyasi. Prabhupada had made him sannyasi as well. He was a very stocky, strong man. He had a tattoo. I never saw a devotee with a tattoo before this time. Now, it's hard to find a devotee without a tattoo, you know. Hidden here, down here. Tattoos are... But in this day, the only people that were known when we grew up, if you had a tattoo, you were basically in the military. And you were probably like a drunken sailor. You know, and when you would go to port, you get tattoos. Because you had money, nothing to do with money. You get tattoos. He had a tattoo on his arm. Sudama Vipra Maharaj, that was his name. Sudama, I remember him very clearly. I always stayed not so close. A skull and crossbones, you know, X with the bones and the skull. That was his tattoo. Prabhupada made this person devotee. Made him a Brahmin, gave him sannyas. This man was complaining, how can you give it to these people? Prabhupada told us themselves, none of you were qualified, he said, to be sannyas. He said, you're not even sannyas. Use this quote. He said, but when there isn't person there, when the sergeant isn't there, the colonel, corporal isn't there, every fifth man you make. And Prabhupada did that. When I was in the manor, another one Indian man complaining. Same thing. Indians, they're not Indians. What's your business making them into devotees, huh? Prabhupada made us Westerners into devotees so we could make you devotees. That's why he did it. Because Indians followed everything very nicely, tried to follow what was going on in America. We knew who we were. Dancing white elephants. Some of us were just little elephants, some were big, big. But we're all dancing in white, and people flocked to see us. 50 years ago, I would walk on the beach with Srila Prabhupada, Juhu Beach. Prabhupada's favorite beach, nice and flat, solid sand. You could walk literally for miles with Srila Prabhupada. Huh? And at that time, there would be many Indians on the beach in the morning. Morning walk was everyone. Any proper Indian would do morning walk. Some of them you would see doing yoga, you know, some. But they're doing something. But when Prabhupada would walk on the beach in Juhu, they would look at us. They were wearing all the men wore kurta, their little white pants, you know, every woman in a sari. But they would look at us because we had on dhoti, kurta, women in sari, tilak, shaved. So they looked at us because we were odd. These white people looking like Indians. What do they say now? You're not allowed to, what is it? Cultural appropriation. And things are so messed up in the world. If you do something that belongs to some other culture, you're condemned for it. Huh? You put your hair in cornrows, you know, like Africans, but you're not black. You're not allowed to do that. So they looked at us in this curious way, wearing dhoti and kurta. I was there last week, walking on the beach with some devotees. And again they're looking at me, 50 years later. But it completely turned around. Now they're looking at me not because I'm white. Many white people walking on the beach. Many people walking on the beach in bathing suits, jeans, t-shirts, girls in shorts. Now they're looking at me only because I'm wearing a dhoti and a kurta. This is how degraded things have become in the West. The curiosity is just because I'm a devotee. What's a devotee? Who are these people? In India now they look at us like they used to look at us in America. Devotees, how curious. We're a curiosity. This is what Srila Prabhupada did. So when I was first with him, didn't understand. Krishna consciousness is a very serious process. To become God conscious. No other purpose. Prabhupada brought all of us together for one reason, to become Krishna conscious. Not successful in any other way, materially, education. He always said, whatever education you have, use it in Krishna's service. That was it. Now just educate yourself. So my first days with him, we were on the way to Vrindavan. And we stopped in Thailand, Bangkok, Thailand. Prabhupada stayed there for some days. He stayed in a hotel. They never liked staying in hotels. Only wanted to stay in his room. However tiny it might be, his room at the temple was first class. Prabhupada was happy. Never staying in some motel, hotel. Oof. But he did. And the very first day I brought breakfast to him. Siddha Maharaj is there, Sudama Vipra, with his tattoo showing on his arm. He's there. I'm coming in. And Prabhupada looked at me, he said, bring me hot milk. Hot milk was a staple for Srila Prabhupada. Every day, every morning, every evening. Didn't matter whether he was at New Vrindavan farm, one of our farms in a city, milk had to be there. So I didn't bring him milk. We're in a hotel. I have no kitchen access, nothing. He just looked at me, bring me hot milk. So I had this little pot from his tiffin. I took the bottom part of the pot. I go down to the kitchen, hotel kitchen, and of course, it's filled with all these Thai people cooking. I don't speak any Thai. They don't speak any English. I'm dressed like this, and I'm saying I need to heat up the milk. And they just looked at me, this kid, this child. I need milk. And me, I was not a very aggressive person. So after trying, and they wouldn't let me in the kitchen, I went back up to Prabhupada, face. Prabhupada, I said, I can't heat up the milk. Sudama Vipra grabbed the pot. I'll get your milk, Prabhupada. That's what Prabhupada's warriors. Prabhupada had warriors. I was a desk person, I would be maybe like that. I wasn't a warrior. I'll get your hot milk. I thought, oh. About 4 minutes later, he comes back in, cup of hot milk. Here, Prabhupada. He looked at Prabhupada, he said, sometimes you have to yell. Prabhupada smiled. Then he looked at me. He said, Srutakirti is not serious. You don't want to hear that from your spiritual master, that you're not serious. I thought I completely blew it, But I thought, not serious. This is Krishna consciousness. Our business is to be serious about what we're doing, not wishy-washy. Prabhupada tolerated us. Didn't mean he approved everything we did.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.